Mike Dolson,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald,
Here.
Jennifer Finley. Here. Jim Molitaire. Carol Langford, Danielle Matt, Bing Matt, James Steele Jr.,
Yeah,
Martin Charlo, Len Teteeth,
I'm here.
Lanice Trahan.
Believe that Jimmy was the last prayer. Jennifer, would you give us a prayer this morning?
This morning, I say prayers of thanks for all of our ancestors who were strong, who worked hard, who made it possible for us to be on this land and who made it possible for us to be here. And I say prayers for all of our tribal members who are in college right now, wherever they are in the United States, that they do well in their studies and that they bring good things into the world through their studies. And I pray for all the young parents who are taking care of their kids, that they may be blessed and that their children will be safe at school today. And I say prayers that we all have good hearts to do good work for our people today. Lem Lemch.
Thank you, Jennifer. We have minutes from December 11th. Abby, the meeting for the Intertribal Timber Council was in Temecula, California, not San Diego. We did go through San Diego. That's an amazing place.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, James.
I'd make a motion to approve the December 11th minutes and with any corrections that might come up.
Motion by James to approve the December 11th minutes, second by Bing. All in favor? I have 6-4 and I abstain. And we have an agenda for today. Any additions to the agenda? James, Tom? Bing? Lynn? Jennifer for exact. No walk-ins. Cool. Sounds like you had fun with walk-ins.
Yeah, thank
I had look for a motion on the agenda. Motion by Tom, second by James. Approve the agenda with additions. All in favor? We're unanimous. James, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. I just wanted to report going from my memory on a trip I went to NCAI. I attended the NCAA meetings in Seattle, and it was good to see Jennifer. Appreciated her leadership there at the executive committee table up front. It was good to see that, and I appreciate your leadership in that role, Jennifer. And it was good to kind of talk a little bit with Ron Allen. He's planning on retiring officially, I guess, next year. So that was an interesting thing. Council, large land-based tribe thing. I sat in that for a little while. Martin was in that as well. And their big issue was the Lumbee. Absolutely opposed to the Lumbee getting federal recognition. So they went on that for a while. And then I left that since Martin was in there. I went to the international committee to make sure to bring up our visit with the Tunaha and the border alliance issue. So I made sure to bring that up in that committee. The other thing that I attended was I have at the house, or maybe I have it under here. Attended the session for, grab my eyeballs on, American Indigenous Tourism Association, and that was something that we heard from last week or the week before with Leilani Upham and Marie Trojan and them. Pretty interesting organization. They do what they do is they focus on making sure that any tourism occurring in our native areas basically is done with an eye towards our people having that say so in that tourism, that it's not just being conducted by people that know nothing about our areas. And so they have a pretty big effort in Canada that was pretty interesting to see. And then they've got a lot of things going on in Montana. One thing I was interested in seeing is that their hospitality training that they collaborate with Arizona State University. And that sent me on to looking at what Montana State University and University of Montana have for hospitality training. I emailed our SKC president over here asking her, is there any way we can collaborate with MSU or UM to provide that here at the college for our, hospitality industry? And I haven't had a call back, but I think it would be pretty cool to see. I emailed these folks asking them for some information about what their collaboration is with Arizona State University, but I was thoroughly enjoyed this session. I thought, I just go to it and see what, and the ladies did such an amazing presentation. There wasn't really that many people there as those conferences go. As you go along, they start tapering off, but I really like that. And then I looked at they had our 3 chiefs on there. They had the Bison Range on there as one of the entities that I guess are working with them. So I'd never heard of them before, but it's American Indigenous Tourism Association. The other thing is I sat in on the gaming session, and the gaming crew was all up in arms. All of the gaming tribes that were in that PAX session were all up in arms about the sports betting that's kind of a free-for-all across the country. They were pushing legislation and resolutions and things for NCI to oppose, the sports betting that's kind of a free-for-all across the country. And I refrained from getting up and saying my 2 cents on the issue of Class 2 gaming when we were the only ones, us and Santa Rosa were the only ones fighting Phil Hogan and John McCain and all of that over Class 2. All of them tribes were against us back then, but now they're asking all of us to get together and fight the sports betting. I think the thing that I come away with from the other thing is I sat in a little bit on Steve Lozar's son that works for the Federal Reserve. I can't think of his name. Casey. He did a session. It was unfortunate. His session was right in the middle of when everybody was voting. They had a runoff for the president of NCI, Jackie Johnson, Jackie Peda, and what's the president's name? I can't think of the NCI presidents. Yeah, Mark McCarroll. They had a runoff for that spot, and so Casey had just got up and everybody was leaving the room to go vote. I felt kind of bad for him in that regard, but he did an awesome presentation as always. Of course, participated in the events there for buying things, and I can't even think of what you call it. You go in, they got all the vendors in there and you go buy stuff. So I bought probably $200 worth of stuff for home for people that said, get me this and get me that. And I'm like, okay. So I got, one person got these cool sweats, kind of like Bruce. This has one leg that's like that and one's, anyway, I digress. The other thing I wanted to mention is I've been working with the city of St. Ignatius. Talking, they've talked about trying to think about annexing. They're not doing anything right now, but they want to talk to our us as to what are our concerns in the area down by the Longhouse and that area. What are some of the things that they need to be thinking about if they were to discuss annexation with the tribes and housing in that area? So tonight I'll be going to city council business meeting. I've talked with Tony, Mark Couture, and Rocky Davis, and they'll be kind of helping me with some of the questions there. I'll forward you all the questions that I got back from Darren. So I've got lots more, but I'll save it for later. Thank you.
Thanks, James. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to report on a meeting last night where I made a couple of statements. I want to make sure council hears it from me first. Hope for Nations Church was part of the group that is promoting the construction of a women's recovery center. And they came in, I think, a year and a half ago and presented to the council. And they have 5 acres that were donated to them on the southwest corner of town over by where I live. And so they were proposing to annex it into the city and to build this Life for Nations Women's Recovery Center. And they did get the annex in, and now they're before the planning board, the city council, for breaking the property up into 5 lots, 4 residential and 1 for the Hope Recovery Center. So there was a public hearing last night. And that street that serviced that is the one that runs behind north and west behind St. Luke's Hospital. It runs down. It's basically kind of like an alleyway was the issue that we had with the one vehicle that was confiscated by the city because it's such a narrow street. And so that canal bank is an issue for that. But when that discussion came up on the limitations on that road and the number of potential traffic that could come that way down that dirt road in the city of Ronan, I had mentioned, which you've heard me say this before, and part of the betterment projects, irrigation project, is to line or pipe canals. And I've said this, any municipality like St. Ignatius, Polson, Ronan, that has a ditch going through it, and these are stagnant ditches, and then cause a lot of mosquitoes and gnats, and not only that, there's always the threat of some child drowning in them. And in some cases, the ditches in some municipalities where they've had the funding from development, i.e. hospitals, St. Joseph's and Polson and St. Luke's and Ronan, have buried and piped the canal underneath the hospitals so they could use the land. And so I've been an advocate to say to the doer that we should be looking at doing that. That's giving back to the communities. It's betterment of the irrigation project. But in this particular case, I was raising it as an alternative to improve that roadway so it could support this minor subdivision that would have up to 4 fourplexes, so 16 families, and then a 39 residential women's shelter, a Hope for Life recovery center. Well, it's residential, they have to live there, and the workers that would be there, which is that's a lot of traffic coming down that narrow alleyway road. And I brought it up as a potential that could be something as an alternative. They could put that whole ditch in a pipe or a siphon, just continue it on from the hospital, exit out of town all the way down by Paulo Webster's or however far south they need to go, improve the delivery system, water conservation, and relieve the symptoms of the mosquitoes, the gnats, So right now, those ditches are why we have like blue tongue. When you look at, we talked about it, it's the biting gnats that are spreading it. And then we have West Nile virus from the mosquitoes. So, you know, later in the summer, these stagnant water bodies, and these are man-made. This isn't natural. This is something we have control over. We can diminish that threat or that health issue and kill multiple birds with one improvement project. So I brought that up. I said, but you guys would need to, the city of Rowan would need to bring those issues forward, make that request. It can't be just Tom McDonald saying this. We need to hear from people to do this and to make that possible. So I just brought that up. I think there was some city council members there that are going to probably bring that forward to our Water Resources Division or the Tribal Council directly to make that kind of a request. I don't know if the subdivision will get approved. The issue seemed to be the capacity of the roadways. And of course, everybody doesn't want attics in their backyard. They're always worried about that kind of thing. And hopefully they can overcome that. It's unfortunate that people have there's some people, the very few that haven't been touched by addiction. And there were some of those there, unfortunately, they were lobbying against the recovery center. Anyway, thank you. I want to give you that update.
Thanks, Tom. Bing?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I got a letter from Wendy Adams, and she's requesting, asking for her son to accompany her when they go hunting. She was with her son, I guess, when they went off the reservation over other side of Hot Springs over there, and they came back on, and she killed a little deer over there, and he helped her load it, and they took pictures of it. And next thing you know, well, game warden seen them and pictures of it on Facebook, and they come up there and said that her son Arlen shouldn't have been accompanying her with on that hunt. But she had surgery, and she on her shoulder, and that's why he was helping her with loading the deer that she shot. And every one of my kids, she's my daughter, and every one of my kids know how to shoot a rifle real well, you know. So I don't doubt that she didn't shoot that deer, but you know, because like you say, she's pretty good. She was a pretty good shot, and the rifle she has, you know, that's not a really heavy rifle, but that's big enough to knock a deer down in one shot. But she's requesting, you know, to have Arlen accompany her when she goes out and hunts. And I don't shoot deer anymore, so all they kill them for is just to have dry meat. That's what they kill for. They don't have it for food and stuff, or steaks and stuff like that. They just cut them up and use it for dry meat. But that's what she's requesting, and I said, well, I bring it in and see what the council got to say. I said, she's had surgery on her shoulder, like I stated, and also had a tumor removed from her breast and stuff. So she's been kind of banged up here lately. And so I thought, I thought, well, give it to me. I'll take it in and ask them. They say, yeah, fine. If not, well, I said, you'll have to wait until next year, I guess, or whatever. I said, but anyway, I come in and ask. That's what I'm doing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, this is the usual circumstances that we do grant that permission for a descendant to have an immediate family member to assist a tribal member, especially if their health condition doesn't allow them to, you know, gut, drag, and load the animal. They're still capable of shooting. So it meets that. It's usually restricted to it's always restricted to the reservation. Unless you're doing the bison hunt, and that's wide open. You can have anybody assist you gutting out, loading, and hauling the carcass. So sounds like this is pretty appropriate, and how long would they want to do it? Wendy would want to kind of term? A month, 2 months? At least another month. I would make a motion to grant the hunter assist to Wendy Adams for her son to accompany her to harvest big game animals under ordinance 44D on the reservation.
Motion by Tom to let Wendy have assistance from her son for hunt for a month, you said? I think the second. Second by Carol. All in favor? We got 6-4 and Bing abstains. And there's paperwork, right?
Yeah, there is. There's a form that she'd need to fill out, and I think Jennifer can pull it up. At times, we've also requested for a doctor's written notification, so if she could get that too, that would be great.
Glenn? Well, Jennifer, you got it.
Just real quick, I was just, got an email from Genevieve Morjo this morning. She wanted an update on the request when she came in last October. Has, anybody from Tribal Credit reached out to you on that?
I talked to Greg and he was gonna find out more. I haven't heard back yet. But I'll do it again.
Okay, if we can get, somebody to reach out to her today, I think she would really appreciate that.
I'll do that.
Okay. Thank you.
In fact, it's hanging on my computer. Jennifer?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick update too. Last week I went to American Indian Health Leaders meeting in Helena. And I wanted to say that one of the things that that committee is doing is they are looking at other states like New Mexico, Arizona, California, and Oregon, where they have Medicaid waivers. So those tribes in those states can bill Medicaid for cultural services that they provide. And each state does it differently. And in order to do so, the state would have to be part of this and the state would have to facilitate this process. And it's a years-long process. It's not something that would just happen in a year or anything like that. But I think it's really interesting because I think they said that the state that would be closest to something that we would want is Oregon. But the tribes that do this, they decide who their cultural practitioners are. The state does not. And they decide which cultural practices they bill for. And each tribe does it differently. And so one thing I thought was interesting is like, and I know Joe had concerns about monetizing culture, but I thought, well, we pay our drum groups. There's other cultural services that are provided in our communities that we pay people for. But it allows people to have cultural services that they might not have access to otherwise. And one thing that the Crows mentioned is that, no tribes would only do what they felt comfortable doing. So just as an example, like when the Crows do a sweat, if it's just Crows, they do it differently when it's them. If there's other people involved, they do a different version and they don't share certain things with everyone. Certain things are just for them. So, and I think every tribe would, probably do things that way. But I would hope that going forward that CSKT would support this, even if CSKT doesn't participate, because supporting this would mean that we would support other tribes doing this in whatever way they want to do it. And the urban Indian centers as well, who serve all the tribes, all the, people from all the tribes in Montana, they would be able to provide cultural services and be able to bill for them. And so, And I know, like I said, Joe was concerned with monetizing culture, but so whether or not CSKT participates individually, I would hope that CSKT supports it for the other tribes that do want to do this and have cultural practices that they want to offer people in their community through their tribal health department. And I know that Tom mentioned he went on a visit to Oregon and there were tribes that provided medicines, traditional Washington that provided traditional plants and medicines for tribal members to come in and get. So I mean, CSKT could do something like that too. They could have plants and medicines that people want to come in and get that they're no longer able to harvest. So they have access to them. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I think it's a good effort. Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. And you have something for executive and I don't know, wait until legal. Okay. I think we're ready for Ruth then. Come on up. Good morning, Patty.
Hey, good morning, council. Before you today, we are going to request approval of the resolution that will modify our total appropriations with Mod 3. It's a fairly significant, large dollar amount increase. So at the end of each fiscal year, we have unspent funds in both the BIA and IHS compacts. So we have to wait for programs to close out through the certification process. So they are verifying what is the actual unexpended and any corrections that might be needed to affix that. So we'll carry forward those amounts. Those are like $20 million each plus to those. We're also updating the total contracts and grants allocations, which is now up to 58 million. The big increase there is the 40 million that's just been posted for the broadband project. So just wanted to note that. We're also noting the Bureau of Indian Affairs is obligated additional funding for Bison Range, and this is very welcome because it's going to relieve the general fund of almost $1 million. So we're very glad and thankful that that did come through in final 25 funding. And then last, the Lands Department, this is after the fact, you must acknowledge they went to the auction as part of the Sego acquisition. So they acquired some capital equipment that some of which was in our regular tribal capital equipment. But this amount of $474,000 requires modification as well. And there's some non-capital that we have to include in their program budget to complete successfully that $507,000 acquisition that they did. So the total modification, we're increasing $96,647,221 and total appropriations are now increased to $327,722,800. On the table here. Just noting in the general fund, it was still an overall increase of $650,385 because we're now bringing forward the tribal earmark programs on that very bottom row. Otherwise, you do see that decrease of $999,000 in the natural resources line in the discretionary. That's representing what we could deobligate in general fund because of that BIA funding coming forward for the Bison Range. Any questions?
Questions for Ruth? Go ahead.
Motion to approve modification number 3, fiscal year 2026 appropriations, general fund.
Motion by Tom to approve the modification. Second by James. All in favor? We're unanimous. Okay, so we have 7-4 and Danielle abstains. Carries.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth, Patty. Come on up.
So this morning, we're looking for approval for task orders 303 and 302. Beginning on page 10. 303 in the sum of 166,049. I guess I can do that. $166,049. On page 10 shows the task areas we're looking to complete. One is the Sunny Morjo building. That's a new building in Dixon that was moved down there from the safety of dams area. We're doing a little trench and insulation, putting it back together basically from the inside. There's a few repairs on it. Outside and inside siding. And this is what we're doing is, turning half of that into clinic area and half into community meeting area. We're putting a new door on the inside also to separate them. It's got the door it had from 24/7, so it's secure for a medical facility also. And that's task area 1. Task area 2 is the building that's previously been there, the Anita Map building. We're gonna put new carpet or take the carpet out and put vinyl in. Install showers. This was part of the homeless movement, help them out, and additional water heating and plumbing for that. And task area 3 is the greenhouse forestry building. That was the other building that moved from safety of dams out to the greenhouse. Basically, that's just putting her back, patching it up back together, and getting it ready for office space as they are looking to try to build new greenhouses out there. And again, that's for $166,049. Task order 303.
Motion by Carol to approve task order 303. Second by Danielle. Go ahead, Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John, I see this contract is the SKMM. So who's actually doing the work?
Who's actually doing the work? Samsel Construction was doing the work.
So they're subcontracted with SKMM?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All in favor? We're unanimous.
The next approval we're looking for is task order 302. And if you go to page 23, that has the scope of work we're looking for. It's the Dewar employee housing buildings, the architectural and engineering on it. We were in here a while back, and we got approval for 3 different areas. The first area though, first area that we had approval for was the old Second Circle building, and that's where we're looking to do A&E on 3 3-bedroom units and 1 2-bedroom unit, and they'll all be connected together, kind of like an apartment building. The A&E on this is $224,731. There's quite a bit to it. The electrical and sewer needs to see if, they have to see if it's needs to be upgraded, which we're pretty sure it will be. architectural design, since Terrace Lake Road up to there is a state highway, we have to get approval to get a culvert in and an entrance to the property. Because if we do it on the upper side, it would give us more room for a building and parking lot rather than cut out through Second Circle. And so the A&E involves the discovery, the architectural design, the structural engineering, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineering, the civil engineering, and all the permitting. And part of the permitting is, as you can see, we're asking for a 4 apartment building. Right now it's only zoned for a 2-bedroom or a two unit building. But so we have to go to city council and ask for rezoning. And once again, that's for 224,731. It is the A&E for the Dewar employee housing.
Any question? Go ahead, Tom.
Is this already trust property?
Yes.
So why do you need to go to the city council then?
It's in city limits.
Yeah,
I don't know. Be a good neighbor. No, I don't know.
Sounds like you can go and tell him what you're gonna do.
Maybe that's what we'll do.
well, they're allowing fourplex apartments, over in my neighborhood. We thought it was zoned for single family, so I don't think you're gonna have an issue.
Yeah, right across the street, there's,
It's just, but I've been told is that, I can do whatever I want to on my trust property.
right.
I'd welcome a motion on task order 302. Motion.
Well, I have a comment. I think
Okay,
the
go ahead,
reason
Carol.
why Tom's a little bit reluctant, he went to a meeting last night, right? And I've been to other meetings before where it can get really lively and it's, if you don't have to ask, don't. But I think you're absolutely right. Being a good neighbor is okay. But when they start getting real angry and mad, then it's a whole different story, whole different
Right.
ballgame.
Tom? Second? Motion by Carol, second by Tom to approve task order 302. All in favor? We're unanimous. Thank you, John.
Thank you, council.
Morning, Mark. Come on up.
I brought along a new employee to introduce to everybody. This is Moss Tanner. He will be our, I think his official title is Irrigation Infrastructure Inspector, Construction Inspector. So we're getting him trained up to get out on some of our projects. So I thought I'd bring him along and introduce him.
Welcome, Moss. Thank you.
We're here today to get council's approval on some modifications to contracts. The first one is contract number 21-155 with WWC Engineering. It's for some additional engineering costs related to the Falls Creek Diversion Project. We finished that up here probably 3 weeks ago after a year of operation. We observed some things that needed correction, required some additional engineering. So this modification would add $24,900 to the overall value of the contract, increasing it from not to exceed of 348,100 to a new not to exceed of 373,000.
Go ahead, Len.
So what exactly is the scope of work? Mark?
The scope of work on that was to provide, so the canal itself was backwatering the structure. So they were tasked with some additional survey and an additional like 1.5 miles down the canal to further develop why the backwater effect was occurring and look at the measurement flume that was in place and how that was affecting the flow. So some additional costs there and then additional 2 site visits by the engineer.
Any other questions about contract 21-155? Motion by Carol to approve the modification to contract 21-155. Second by Tom. All in favor? Unanimous. Go ahead, Len.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, one of the issues that we always continue to bring up on these contracts is inspection. Who's our inspector? And I know that's kind of been tough because I've always advocated that we try to get tribal members trained up. And I think the gentleman right next to you would be an ideal candidate. And I would hope that the doer program could take a look at that because that is inspectors are something that we really, really need to assure us that the amount of money that we are paying these contractors, that we are getting our money's worth. And I think it would be great just to have somebody reporting back to us, letting us know that the work is getting done correctly, rather than coming back with all of these modifications. And I get it, modifications happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. So thank you.
So Moss will be working side by side with some of the inspectors and RPRs that I have on these projects from the consulting companies, learning directly from them what it is they do, how they do it. We got him signed up for a couple other training classes on concrete inspection, stormwater prevention, pollution prevention measures and everything. So we're getting him. He's the right man for the job too. The second modification is also related to Falls Creek project. It is, get through a few mods here. (24-098). Yeah, this is Dick Anderson Construction. So additional. All right, I must have missed one some. We'll just take them as they come. 24098 is not Falls Creek. This is related to the Placid Creek diversion, the Trans-Basin diversion located over the top of the Jocko on the Sealy side, asking for an additional $194,580 be added to the value of this contract for a new not to exceed value of $943,787. This is additional funding for task orders assigned to this design of the Placid Creek diversion.
Carol?
Yeah, I have a comment to make to Moss, that we get a lot of concerns from a lot of people, and I think if you're well documented, it'll go a long way for the council, because we get these modifications all the time, and it's like, you know, then the number of non-members, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody, but non-members that are working in the system, we get a lot of those too. So I think that's the main reason why we want to make sure that, that a tribal member is in this position, because there was one guy that came in from Kicking Horse that they were working on a water project out there, and he was talking about how inadequate the job was. I don't know if it was or not. I'm not an inspector or engineer or anything, but it was a tribal member, and I was thought in the future we could go a long way by putting somebody like yourself, your caliber, into an inspection position and make sure everything's documented, because I'm sure you're going to be called in here. So I just want to give you a heads up and just appreciate you stepping up, and the department actually hiring, you know, the best people we can, because you need qualified people, whether they're tribal or not. And that's a hard sell sometimes when you're out there campaigning and everything else, but we have to do what we have to do because this money belongs to the public, so, or us, and we're paying. So, I mean, it's tax money, I would think. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would, well, go ahead, Tom.
Can you, this is like, 30% increase. What's going on there? I mean, what was what's the reason for the added?
It's related to this task order, the phase 2, for completion of the design and permitting of it. There's some, it's been broke up into different stages of design. The diversion itself, but also downstream, down canal of it. There's a drop that when it was built, it was grouted, but the canal basically ends and it just free falls down the hillside and has caused all sorts of erosion and other issues. So part of this is for the design of that drop, trying to eliminate the way it's currently designed and putting it either into a pipe or a open section that follows the road down the hill versus cutting across the hillside and just falling into the draw and continuing to erode the draw.
I understand all that. I'm just trying to figure out why we're paying for more engineer. I'm just, what was missed, or how does this?
So the original contract was for, the preliminary site visit. There has been some follow-up site visits and alternatives developed from those site visits. And to exactly point my finger out to what or why, there was the fish ladder. There was like 3 proposals for that, or fish screen, excuse me. And we did settle on a farmer screen versus some of the other alternatives that were involved. Just additional time and costs related to the development of the final design of this.
Other questions? Ready to move forward with the modification? On contract 24,098 for added tasks, this is what I'm hearing. Go ahead, Carol.
What's the time frame on this? You're probably right in the middle of a project if it's a modification.
This is, I believe, 2 years out from construction still, so probably around between 30 and 60% design.
I think Tom brings up a very good question on, it seems like there was something missed if it's at that level increase, or is this normal? Maybe Casey can step up and answer the question.
I'm not
I mean,
gonna
you
claim I'm
oversee the
100%
program.
familiar with this whole one. It's just,
Thank you, Councilwoman Langford. We appreciate it. We can certainly go back and collectively determine a more comprehensive update on why this modification would be required. As Mark mentioned, sometimes during the life cycle of a project, we will work with an engineering firm to come up with a solution to a problem. And in the process of coming up with that engineered solution, come up with additional elements that would need additional design in order to solve that problem. The one Mark was mentioning in this case, sometimes, in this case, FIP did a really nasty thing in that they will take water down a canal, then they actually dump it in a draw, and it'll just sort of free fall down, and then they catch it in a very poor basin, and then convey it down the canal again. So they'll use an ephemeral stream as a piece of the canal. Results in a lot of sediment, and so part of the modified design would be trying to come up with a better solution for that in order to reduce the impacts to the tribal natural resources.
Okay, I really appreciate that explanation, and I think I'm comfortable with making a motion unless Tom needs more information. This, I don't know.
But Tom,
Yeah, I understand how some of these are phases and we want to do this and then you can uncover something new and it's additive. Is it change order? I guess my one question is on the whole betterment project is, and of course we were just in here with John Nice, and typically if I'm going to build a new house, I'm going to have some architect come in and do it, and usually a percentage, kind of a gross related amount you'd spend on design and engineering. What for these irrigation projects, what has been the average cost of engineering before you actually start laying out a new piece of concrete?
it varies greatly from project to project.
There's just no way to put a number on
Depending
that.
on the size of it. The Jocko pipeline project has been probably the most expensive as far as engineering. And then the diversions, the Falls Creek was a smaller one. Therefore it did not require nearly the expense of engineering. The Jocko K was 10%, 15% more expensive. It's just, yeah, by size is probably what is the biggest determining factor in engineering costs.
So you can't, based on what you've experienced to date, we can't say that to do this project, this, like to say a diversion, a new diversion point, it's 50% of the cost is engineering.
I wouldn't want to give you a hard number on it and say this is the average or anything.
But for each project, we can tally that up and say what it is.
We could, yes. Yeah, we keep records of, the overall cost of construction versus engineering versus oversight. So it could be broke down into.
I just wondered how that's, man, I remember
things.
this, the highway job out here for Pablo Pass. That the highway department started work, they spent 10 years engineering that crossing Mud Creek. And even then, when they started construction, they uncovered something a little bit wider they didn't expect closer to Pablo here, and they had to do some quick changes. I just wondered what, I was just curious because I just want to know what we're spending on engineering altogether. How much of a value is that for this betterment project? So.
Go ahead, Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a good question. It can vary depending upon the complexity of the project. On some projects, you could expect an engineering cost of approximately 10% of the construction costs. On other projects that are more complex, it could be closer to 20 or even 25% of construction costs. It just depends on the complexity of the project and the level of environmental permitting and design that would need to go into it. One example would be Chocolate Pipelines project was very complex. Not only did we have to get 8 different permits, we also had to secure right of way for every foot of the design. So there's a couple things that can go into it, but in between 10 to 25% of construction costs would be sort of a good estimate.
James?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I think my question or concern is, you know, when you see projects, and I'm not speaking of this one, but just in general. Oh, and by the way, go Grizz.
Go Grizz and Cats.
Oh, go Grizz.
Bye, Hat.
Boo, boo on the Cats for the moment. My concern is when we have these kind of projects and you see examples, not necessarily these kind of projects, but projects in general where they've been engineered and manufactured, they've been designed, and then they get put out there, and then the next thing you know, well, the buses can't turn there, so we got to redo that intersection and fix it so the school buses can turn there. So I know that's not germane to this issue, but that's the kind of things I worry about. You know, okay, we approve this modification and there's these overruns and such, and we get it all put in the ground and they say, well, we forgot to get this right away, or we forgot to buy this or do that or something. And I just hate those as a policy person coming back and then we're like, for instance, I wish we had a planning office because it was completely, as a policy person, embarrassing, I would say, that we have that area that was being, as Dewar going in there, housing doing something, somebody's doing something else, and we don't have a planning person or department to direct that traffic. And I wish we had that. It's not a slam at Dewar, it's not a slam at housing, it's not a slam at anything. It's just that we're missing a key component, that traffic cop, which is that planning office or planning person to say, okay, Dewar, you put your thing here and here's where the things are going to be put in. So when housing puts theirs in, they're going to go over here and this one's going to go over there. And this is the way it's going to be handled. And you guys are going to use this conduit and that conduit in this street. And that was pretty clear to me as a council member. We did not have that. And it's not a slam on any of you all. It's just on us as an organization. We need a planning office of some sort or a planning department that formally does that. If somebody's doing it and I'm talking out of school, I apologize. I've talked out of school before. And, but it was really tough to see that you all are professional, you all have your things that you're doing, but there was this communication that wasn't going on for somewhere, whatever, for a reason. And I don't, you know, to me, it goes back to a planning office or a planning department, that those kind of that future planning of those areas is laid out. Here's how we're going to put future expansion in this area. Here's how it's going to, the infrastructure is going to be put in. And I really want to encourage the council and all of us to have that person or that department established, that we have a formal planning department of some sort, because it's not just been this spot that we've had those issues, but we've had those issues in other areas. If we'd had a planning department, they could take that piece of property, lay out what it's going to look like for future development, whatever we're going to do there. And then we don't have all these folks coming in, and I digressed, I'm sorry. But my main concern on this is that, you know, when we get this done, you know, we're not going to have issues of my analogy, school bus not being able to turn. Whatever that analogy fits in this situation, the right pipe or the right place or what have you. So that's my main concern. I don't want to be sitting here or the council after me. What in the hell was that council thinking when they approved that? I just don't want to have that happen. And I'm not saying that's going to happen here. I'm just my fear because we've seen those. So thank you.
It's not if it'll happen, it's when it'll happen, James. So go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, one of the reasons I'm always reluctant to vote and approve on engineering contracts is because I can assume that we don't have any tribal members working for this engineering firm, but I could be wrong, but that's just what I'm thinking. I know, Rich, I know you go above and beyond to try to recruit tribal members as much as you can. And I've appreciated that, but, when it comes time to doing any kind of modifications on these contracts, when it comes in and it's explained, and I'm just talking about myself, I'm not talking about the rest of the council, it's explained like we're engineers, right? And we don't understand, And so if you can, in the future, be a little bit more creative to try to explain it to us, so we have a better understanding of, what kind of work needs to be done and what is the finished product. So anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Len. Carol?
Shouldn't that we move forward with the modification?
Motion by Carol to approve modification to contract 24098. Second by Tom. All in favor? I got 2, 7. All opposed? I didn't see your vote, man. Oh. Okay, we're unanimous. Go ahead, James.
Just a statement for the record. I would like to see us begin to capture the economic impact of all these different contracts and construction, not just this project, but all the construction that we're doing across the reservation. What is that economic impact upon our community?
Go ahead. Thanks, Carol. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I kind of came in late, but I'm assuming that you all met Moss Tanner. Good man, good young man that I kind of recruited to come back home. He came back home. And he was a graduate of our welding program, our SKC welding program. And so Moss, you can look at me, buddy. It's okay. But we also got Matthew Manyhides back, another graduate of the SKC welding program that we put on. And I'm just want to inform council just briefly that we're going to be coming in hopefully next week with an org chart update. And we're going to add a couple more engineering educational trainee positions, and I'm looking to advertise those here in the near future to recruit young tribal members to go into the engineering fields and hydrology and GIS. So you're going to see those things coming out. And the difficulty is finding that tribal member that wants to go into these fields. So if you know of anybody that's in high school or just starting or is in college right now, please let me know, okay? So thank you, Mr. Chair and Council.
Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, Rich, Moss was a real basketball player. You're kind of football, but looking for good coaches too, Moss, if you want to graduate up to that. Thank you. Wish you luck, Moss. Good to have you.
Mark, I believe you have another modification.
Moving down the list to 25277, contract with Corona. They were the supplier of the flow meters, the water flow meters for the Jocko pipeline project. asking for a increase of $8,958.84 to be added to their contract, new not to exceed value of $299,387.73. When the original bid came in, the shipping charges were not known. So this is basically a reconciliation of the shipping charges involved with shipping all 100 and however many meters we ordered for that project. Everything from 248-inch flow meters on down to 6-inch meters. So this is just a reconciliation to close out that contract.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Mark, some time ago, when we first started this project, I inquired about the tribal member security firm, North Star Security, on utilizing their services for some of the projects. Where are we with that?
I know that Dick Anderson Construction reached out to them for the North Fork project, and they had, I don't know that North Star even put in any sort of proposal to provide security. I can't say
I think they did.
for sure because that's just been
Yeah.
a while ago. I know they reached out, but that's about it.
Okay, could you follow up on that?
I can.
Thanks, Mark.
We got a issue about transportation here. Tom?
I'd make the motion to add that.
Motion by Tom to approve modification to 25,277 for transportation costs. Second by Bing. All in favor? We're unanimous.
I should have had one more, but I do not see the paperwork for it, so I will have to do a follow-up visit by the looks of things. I believe it was listed on the agenda request.
I see three numbers on the request form. 24,018 is one that we haven't looked at. Is that the other one? Because the
24018 is the one that, yeah, I was looking for the paperwork on it. 155. Yeah, 24018 has no paperwork on it, so I will submit another council agenda request.
appreciate that.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Where'd he play at? Renee? Yeah, cool.
Scott is on Zoom.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Tribal Council.
Morning, Scott. Go ahead.
Yeah, today I have one issue. I have Elmo Indian Avenue reconstruction project, I have a change order for contract 25-168 for Bjorn Johnson Construction. This contract was awarded in August 18th, and the original completion date was September 30th. So that didn't give much time from the notice to proceed. So in this change order, I gave them 2 weeks. I wanted to propose 2 weeks allowance for that. And then also there was some increased quantities. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Yeah, so yeah, we had in this change order, I requested 2 weeks additional for the contractor's performance, and it wasn't due to their performance. It was the completion date was picked prior to the award, so we thought it was fair to give them more than 90 days or 60, 70, 80 days and to do this work. And also there was two major bid items that were increased quantities. The two minor bid items were a concrete curb and gutter overran just a little bit due to some measurements of what needed to be replaced, and then also some riprap for the retention pond. But the major bid items that I'm asking for increased quantities on is sub-base gravel, the top surfacing gravel. The sub-base gravel increased quite a bit because we've kind of found out after the fact that the engineering company that did the design had a lump sum quantity for the earthwork. And so that would be building the sub-base up to the where the bottom of the gravel should go. They didn't have a quantity listed in the plans for that. And so some of the additional quantity is filling in that amount that was kind of unknown. And I attribute that to the consultant not listing a estimated quantity in the plans for that amount. So the original contract price was $233,852.25. With these two, I guess 4 bid item increases, I increased the quantity from of 78,898.08 or 01 to a final contract price of 750.26. And then I included a spreadsheet of the quantities and as a part of this explanation, I guess. But I just asked the council to approve this change order number 1, increasing the substantial completion date and the final quantities that were measured. We took tickets from the gravel, and yeah, all that material was actually delivered to the project and needed.
Len, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Scott, it sounds to me that the error was made by the consultant firm. You know, I've brought this up in the past that I think we need to have language in our contracts to address these types of issues. Because now you're asking them for a two-week extension, which is going to cost the tribes an additional $80,000. And then the other question I had was, who gives the stamp of approval when the work is done?
I guess it's me. I meet with the contractor, the consultant, and we go over all the, make sure everything is done the way the plans is supposed to be.
Okay. All right, thank you, Scott.
Any other questions? We need a motion to approve the change order for contract 25-168 with Bjorn Johnson Construction. Motion by Tom. Second by James. All in favor? Unanimous. Go ahead, Len.
Scott, do you work with the Indian Preference Office to assure that this contractor is complying with our ordinance?
Yeah, I did talk to them quite a bit during this project. There was a little bit of frustration with this contractor, so I'm not sure that I think we'll be writing up a kind of a summary of how this project went with this contractor to go with the file, and we can submit it with future things.
So you seen they provided something to you in writing showing they were compliant?
Yeah, they did submit a IPO plan, and they started following it, and then their communication kind of was lacking a little bit during the construction.
Okay. The reason I question it is because I was out there on 4 different occasions and I did not see one tribal member out there on the job site. And I did bring it to the IPO's attention, but I'm not sure whatever became of that. So and I noticed, well, I was told by other members of the community, or they were asking me why no tribal members were working out there. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Okay.
Any other questions? I guess one question I have, Scott, is what do we do to prevent missing this kind of piece of information?
Yeah, I guess it would probably be a better review of all the bids together, and to see if there is anything like this identified, any anomalies. I did notice that some of the bid items were kind of off, but there was no, I guess, no proof or no. One thing would be, I guess, to just have a lot more reviews of the plans to make sure everything, there's no questions during the bidding process on what people are bidding on. So I guess that's the main.
So we need to be a little more careful. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a lot my fault on this one bid item, but for not catching the consultants missing information, I guess.
Thank you, Scott. Anything? Oh, you Okay. So the vote on this contract was 2-4, 6-4, and Len against. Thanks, Scott.
All right, thank you.
James, go ahead.
Yeah, not related to Scott's issue. Just to comment in general, you know, we approve all these different variety of contracts and things for construction and engineering and all that, which is fine. But we as a tribe are employing a lot of non-members in all these contracts. That's just the way it is. But we don't get very much credit for it from some of these individuals that work for these entities. Some of them don't even, not all of them. I'm not going to say all of them, but some of them, they're not even, they don't give two big pens about the tribes, honestly. But we approved those contracts. I can only pick a couple people that I know of, but the majority of these folks and entities and such that we're putting money into the economy through all these different contracts, all these different people that were working for us. They're buying food, they're paying taxes, they're working for us on these contracts, they're building things into this economy that we call the reservation in Western Montana. And nobody knows about it. We don't tell anybody about it. But it's an impact upon this Western Montana economy that if we could have that in hand when we're in the legislature or we're talking with Sheehy or Zinke or any of those people, look, here's how many of your constituents we are putting to work. Here's how much money we're putting into this economy, millions of dollars that Doer's doing, the gaming we're building, the, you know, stuff in Michigan and Tom's area, Ronan, couldn't remember the name of it.
Heartbeat of the Mission Valley.
Yeah, okay. But, you know, we're putting that, I just remember when I was chairing Beyond Capitol Hill and Helena and having that information in hand and talking to particularly Republicans, look, here's how many people we're employing. Tribal, non-tribal, etc. But all of these contracts, and Len brings it up consistently, and I appreciate him doing that. How many tribal members, this and that. There's not very many tribal members, but there's a lot of CIAPs we have working. And when they come at us that we don't pay taxes, we don't do this, we don't do that, we don't do the other. Look at this big contingent of money that's going into the economy. And we don't get beans for it. We get kicked in the head by old dingbat commissioner. And I'll tell that to him right here if he ever was in here. And I've told that to him his face anyway. But anyway, I digress a little bit, but all these contracts we approve, I just wish we were getting more credit for them. And we approve them here, but nobody hears nothing about them. And definitely we need to be having more tribal members. It's good to see Moss in the system. So anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Scott. I think we're finished.
All right, thank you.
Morning, Lynn. Come on up.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and rest of the council. Go Cats. Just saying, just saying. So my presentation starts on page 81. Bringing to you today a potential new BPA acquisition.
Open or executive?
Open's fine. This is not, there we go. So Jane Lindgren lives up in Jacko Canyon. She has an interest in selling somewhere. I'm actually going to change that somewhere. I'll probably stay between 6 and 7 acres, but off the record, she's very difficult to work with along the Jacko. This property is basically immediately across from the Firestone acquisition we did, I think 2006, 2008-ish. So Hildegard owned one riverbank, Jane Lindgren owns the other riverbank just across from it. So basically the property contains the north side of the Jacko through its entire length of what she is interested in selling, which is good, which is almost 2,000 feet. And it does qualify for BPA resident fish mitigation funding, sorry. So just to show you kind of where it lies, so this, can you see my little cursor thing? Okay, so this is the Hildegard Firestone acquisition. And you'll see the sliver that we're going to buy along the river. But as you can see, there's quite a bit of tribal land. It is up the canyon. And so it's a good reach of stream. This is where she lives. She's retaining that as well as stuff on the other side of the Jacko Road. But what she is interested in selling is this small sliver, which would be basically bordered on the south side by the river and then a little bit of land here. So that's what she's interested in selling. Although admittedly that changes every day. But, sorry, I'm at my wit's end.
Sounds like you're having fun.
Yeah, lots of fun on this one. So the decision action requested today is for council to express interest in purchasing this. And I will not waver on that we get the entire river frontage, just so you know. So that's kind of a hard stop. And once we get there, council to approve entering into a buy-sell at fair market value with Bonneville Fish resident fish mitigation funding.
Tom,
I was wondering why you called it hypothetical. That's, you got the flip-flop nest.
I just got another message from her while I was sitting here in the audience, so.
I thought I was missing something on
Yeah.
some legal termination or a land description. But now I know. I would make the motion that we express interest.
motion by Tom, James?
Yeah, I'll second and a comment. Lynn, all the years seeing you do these type of things, I very rarely see you with this much sarcasm. Oh, and by the way, go Chris.
You're going down, just saying.
Motion by Tom, second by James to show interest in the Lingram property that may or may not be for sale.
Exactly.
All in favor? We're unanimous with Jennifer out of the room.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have today.
Thanks, Lynn. I think we need a break. So we'll take a
Can we
break.
go into executive though?
We'll go out of regular into executive and take a break. We'll come back to order. And first order of business here is we have a resolution and a contract for James Taylor.
Motion to approve.
Motion by James to approve, second by Tom. All in favor?
Yes.
We got 7-4, so we're unanimous. And now we have Brad, yeah, do it. Bradley's up. I think we have an organizational chart next with Joe. Come on up.
On to executive.
We'll go out of regular into executive. Motion by Carol to accept org changes from tribal health. Second by James. All in favor? Jennifer? Are you out of the room? He's out of the room. Passes.
Thank you so much for your patience as we try to explain that again. Well, it's just a hard thing to navigate. We'll try to figure out a different way to do that going forward. Thanks. Yep. And I can print it on, but it's big. I mean, 300 boxes makes it a big chart.
Thank you all.
Yeah.